Carry on.
Indeed. So drivers now firing things up. We are live here from the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. Rob Howden alongside the voice of this iconic racetrack, John Phippen, and the drivers here in USF Pro 2000 rolling out to qualify for race number 1 of the Cooper Tires Grand Prix of Mid-Ohio. Past the midway point of the season, the heart of the schedule, if you will. Road America 2 weeks ago, Mid-Ohio here this weekend, and just a couple of weeks from now, we'll head up to another Green Savory event as we head to the streets of Toronto. The stretch run, essentially, with the events coming up here. Still a lot of racing to go when it comes to the championship to find out who is going to bring home that scholarship worth over $664,000 to move to Indy next year. But, John, we have ourselves a pretty solid day right now. It's dry, 71 degrees. It's time to do this for real. We practiced on some scuffed tires, a carryover set from Road America, fresh Coopers. Time to see who qualifies pole for race number 1.
Salvador de Alba was quickest in the practice session earlier today, a 1:18.15.31. Liram Zendelli was second quick for TJ Speed, only about a 0.2 of a second back. Kiko Porto, former champion of the USF 2000 series for D-Force Racing, third quick. Michael D'Orlando, the defending champion for Turn 3 Motorsport, was fourth, and rounding out the top 5, Yuvan Sundaramurthy for Executive Autosport. Those were the top 5 from practice earlier today.
Yeah, this is going to be an interesting session. I was kind of walking over here from our paddock with the race directors, and they kind of asked me, hey, who do you think is going to be quick? And I said, not surprisingly, that there's a lot of drivers who I think could step to the forefront. We have seen great speed out of Salvador de Alba, who, of course, in his second year here in the USF Pro 2000 category with Exclusive Autosport, he was quickest yesterday afternoon in a test session. He was quickest earlier today as well. Does he have the pace to potentially put it on the pole for race number 1? We'll see. Miles Rowe, your point leader, can never count him out at all. He has got tons of speed in that Pabst Racing entry, but a driver who has had a lot of success over the years here in USF 2000 is Michael D'Orlando. Last year's champion in the category, running for Turn 3 Motorsports. He's got the USF Pro Championships livery on the car, took that scholarship money to come to the program here this year. He loves this racetrack, and we talked about it after he had won the front end of the doubleheader at Road America. He goes, I can't wait because the next event I go to is my favorite racetrack. That's Mid-Ohio.
Yeah, and that's always great to hear that that's the case, and he certainly had good success here in the past, and looking for more of the same here as we just getting these cars up to speed. Fresh tires for everybody on this session, you think?
Indeed. So fresh tires, yes. One driver's gone around. Somebody just checked up. Wow, that was unfortunate. Coming through the 7, 8, 9 combination of corners after they rolled their way through that first complex, right down through there, kind of a downhill, off-camber corner, through there. You can see there a driver all of a sudden checked up, wanted to lock it up and spin around. This is all about people trying to figure out where to be back and forth, right? Trying to gap themselves up a little bit. One driver coming over, and John, we'll talk about it, and I walked the track on Wednesday, was thinking about how blind that corner is off over Madness. It is so blind. What is that, Turn 7, right?
Yeah, exactly right. Turn 9, actually, is the one that the right-hander that the right-hander that leads down into Thunder Valley. So,
indeed, a very important part of that racetrack, as we know, coming up over 7 through 8 and 9 into Thunder Valley, then back up over to the carousel. And drivers getting a feel, all trying to gap things out, as John had mentioned earlier and asked the question. Yes, everybody on fresh tires now. You had that carryover set for the first practice session. The concept is we don't want, if a driver didn't run the test session, you don't want to have to go out and burn off a fresh set of tires learning the racetrack or getting things dialed in. So we have a carryover set, a used set of race tires from the last event, which was Road America. Now it's time. Those tires are done. Fresh Coopers here. Now, how do they handle all the sets of tires that they have available, right, for the remainder of the weekend? 3 sets of tires. What do you do? How do you handle it? And we'll see how that all plays out. As, again, we have 2 races set to go. Both those races tomorrow. We have a USF 2000 race this afternoon to cap off the day. But both races for the USF Pro 2000 drivers will come on Saturday.
And again, 2 qualifying sessions for these drivers. This qualifying session sets the grid for race number 1 for the USF Pro 2000. Second qualifying session sets the grid for race number 2.
The driver that we saw, if you're obviously watching on the USF Pro Championships app or on the YouTube channel, we talked about that incident where a driver checked up coming through turn number 7 and 8. I believe that might have been Juven Sundermurthy who had to climb on the binders there. Came over the blind, a right-hander. There's a car right in front of him, locked it up, and actually a fantastic job of avoidance for Juven Sundermurthy, who was pretty good here earlier today. I think he was, P5? Yeah, top 5 in the morning practice session. So Juven out of Delafield, Wisconsin for Exclusive Autosport had to check up. So he's at the tail of the field. Has not yet put that big lap in yet because, of course, just as he was trying to warm up his tires, he ends up going off into the grass. So they cooled them back down. It's going to take him a couple laps to get himself back up to speed.
Miles Rowe setting the quickest time so far in this session. He's the first driver into the 118, so 118.9520 for the points leader. Michael Orlando second quick, and then Grand Force now up into second spot. So again, this is very early days. These times are going to come down pretty rapidly as they get the cars and tires up to temperature, but Miles Rowe showing the way by about 0.2 in the early going here.
So when we do qualify as well, it is essentially a max of 20 minutes of green flag time. So we do have a longer window to get that done, but a max 20 minutes. If we go straight through all the way, we'll have just those 20 minutes of qualifying time, and we'll see again. John and I will be giving you times. They don't really mean anything right now because they're going to keep dropping. We like to give we let you know who's up front, the top 5 are. But yeah, the bottom line is they're going to burn the fuel off. They're going to get these tires up to the temperatures they need to be. The pressures are obviously one of the key things, right? As that tire gets up to that operating temperature, you really want to hit for that fast lap. The tire pressures, you want them to grow to the point where everything is exactly right when you get ready to roll that big fast lap in.
You know, the interesting thing is I looked at the charts of the season so far, and again, we're just past the midway point of the season for the USF Pro 2000 Championship. The variety of pole sitters you've had so far this season. The first race, Christian Brooks, who only raced in the first race at St. Pete, and then second was Pete C. He was second at the second pole. Third pole to Chase Tenbark. Fourth pole to Michael D'Orlando. Fifth pole to Kiko Porto. Sixth pole to Miles Rowe. Seventh pole to Jack William Miller. Eighth pole to Michael D'Orlando, so he's the only two-time pole winner. And at Road America round number 2, it was Christian Weir. Yeah, so it's
Isn't
like
that crazy?
Yeah, you got nobody seems to have the lock on speed in this year's race.
And it's all with the different teams as well. We talk about the parity of the team, so it's not like even one team was coming out. All these different teams stepping up to the forefront as well. And that's what we love about this program. We have such top quality teams here, and it doesn't matter which team you're with. You got a chance. Number 1 in the poll, as John said, kind of going through the entire lineup, which is, again, I just love the way you went through that. Only one guy with a couple of polls. Race wins, though, a bit different. 3 for Miles Rowe. They came early in the season, as we know. We'll see whether or not we get another new pole sitter here today. But again, a couple of guys I expected. De Alba potentially going to the forefront. Michael D'Orlando loves this racetrack as well. We'll see who kind of dials things in. Bijay Garge is second quick right now in the number 7 car. Kiko Porto third as we have a red flag. Red flag. Here, this is a replay of what we saw. Oh, this isn't a replay of why we have the red flag. We had a driver going off. That might have been Juven Sundermurthy potentially off. Indeed it was. So not only did he have trouble early when a driver got into him, he had a bit of trouble coming over that turn 7-8 combination. That is Juven Sundermurthy, who had been able to work his way up to 12th position off in turn number 8 into the gravel trap over there. That's why we are red right now. We have 7 minutes and 41 seconds of green time, so still about 12 minutes and 18 seconds still to come of green. And as I said, 20 minutes max of actually green time. If we go yellow, they're not guaranteed that 20, but within our 30-minute window, if they get to 20, we throw that checker. So it's still lots of time for these drivers to get things dialed in. Let's have a look down on pit lane to see if anybody potentially throwing on stickers. Yeah, that would not surprise me. No, a really good time. Now that you're into pit lane, you've gone out. You've essentially run we've got 4 laps in. These are scuffed race tires perfectly right now. They'll put fresh Coopers on. We'll see what happens when we roll back out.
Exactly right. As we can see the 40 car Jack William Miller right down here below us. And they're putting fresh rubber on his machine as well.
Like we always like to do, John, take the opportunity, of course, say hello to everybody around the racetrack right now. As we know, this is a fantastic place to come and camp to watch events. I've done it myself. I love getting a chance to be a spectator here. Even when I'm racing or working sometimes, I like to be able to camp out. But we also say hello to those of you who are watching from home around the country. As we know, with an international field here around the world, people watching from all over. We say hello to those of you tuning in to potentially the USF Pro Championships YouTube channel or on the downloadable app. If you have not downloaded the app, feel free to do that as well. If you are trackside, we do have our autograph sessions coming tomorrow on Saturday, right where they're having the IndyCar autograph session today. Autograph session 1:30 tomorrow for USF2000 and 2 o'clock for the drivers in the USF Pro 2000 categories. We've got some guests coming tomorrow as well. We'll talk more about that. Excited to work with the good folks from Discount. So we have some of our Discount Tire STEM program guests coming to join us here as well. And obviously one of the biggest things about this track, it's the spiritual home as well for Cooper Tires. They are proud to be the presenting sponsor of all 3 levels of the USF Pro Championships. Make sure to check out Cooper's all-new Discoverer Rugged Trek, the ultimate suburban cruiser. It's an all-season tire featuring an aggressive tread design that delivers excellent traction and comfort on concrete. For more information, visit coopertire.com and follow them on Twitter and Instagram at Team Cooper Tire.
The MR safety crew's done their job. Here comes through the Romuthi into the pits. So he's got a little dust, a little gravel on that car, so they'll need to check the radiator inlets to make sure that he doesn't have anything stuck in there. But we should be able to get back to green here momentarily.
Indeed, they're going to have to crawl down and see if they can't pull some of the gravel out of the radiator inlets on that car for sure, because he went all the way off in the gravel in Turn 8. Speaking of Cooper Tire, if you guys are here trackside and you want to get a cool souvenir to take home, if you come up into our paddock, which is the very upper paddock, walk straight up, keep walking, you'll walk right up to the Cooper Tire trailer where all our guys work on it. They are selling tires, used tires. I believe it's $10 for charity. The charity goes to the IndyCar Ministry. So if you're looking to bring home a cool souvenir, $10, a souvenir race tire from Cooper that you can take home. $10.
Sweet.
Yeah. We had I think we sold everything that we had at Road America, watching people walk around with tires, bringing them home. Perfect for a little glass on top, nice little table in the middle of your living room.
Nice.
So, okay, here's the session right now. As we, again, as I said, have about 12 minutes remaining, just over 12 minutes remaining. Michael D'Orlando, currently the top driver for Turn 3 Motorsports, a 1:18.222, about a tenth off their fastest time. I expect them to get down into the 1:17s. Bajoy Guard for D-Force Racing, he and his teammate Kiko Porto, second and third, as the drivers back to green and pulling away from pit lane. Miles Rowe, your point leader, the number 99, in fourth. Jack William Miller, fifth. Joel Granforst, the Swedish driver for Exclusive Autosport, a winner at Indianapolis earlier this year. He's sixth, ahead of his teammate Salvador de Alba, who won at the Freedom 90 at IRP and was the quickest in yesterday afternoon session and this morning's practice session. He's seventh. Liram Zendelli, your most recent winner from Road America for TJ Speed, eighth. Chase Denmark and Jordan Missig, the two Pabst drivers, rounding out the top 10.
Yeah, we haven't mentioned Jordan's name. Jordan, new to the series this year. He's raced with us in the F4 and the FR championships, so great to see him making the step over here to USF Pro 2000 and showing some good pace here.
Yeah, he ran with us last year as well, second year of the program, and had some really good runs, John. He had some strong drives at Road America, was lining him up for a really good run and ended up getting caught out in another issue that put him off the racetrack. He has shown good speed, and we'll talk more about Jordan Missig throughout this entire weekend. He'll be in the number 19 machine, the driver out of Illinois for Pabst Racing. D'Orlando looking pretty good coming out of the gate. Only 4 laps in, 12 minutes to go. As I said, down to 11 minutes now as the driver's back out. But again, everybody with fresh rubber, so let's do it again. Because the opening lap, you got to kind of clean those tires off. You know, that mold compound still on the tire a little bit. Get them scuffed down. Try to bring them up to temperature correctly. Mm-hmm. You don't want to punish them early. You want to just bring them up to temperature slowly, knowing that lap 4, lap 5, maybe even lap 6 is going to be your best one. A couple of great rookies in this program here, too, that we've watched. We talked a little bit about Lucas St. Jean making his debut for Turn 3 Motorsports at Road America and was a front-running driver, top 5, top 10 all weekend long. He looked good throughout the test sessions yesterday. Currently 11th for Lucas St. Jean. But again, maybe just not have been able to put in a good lap at that point.
Sure. And right behind him, the Irishman, Jonathan Brown, for Turn 3 Motorsport.
They've had some good runs as well. Jonathan was on the podium at Road America, so he's looking to keep that momentum going. And John, you look at the season. We started things off, of course, at St. Petersburg back in March, and then moved on to Sebring, and then there was essentially a month off before we spent a couple of weekends in Indianapolis. But here's this really strong run through the middle of the season with Road America, Mid-Ohio, Toronto, where you can build some momentum, right? Yeah. You build that momentum, and then we're off until the end of August, running at the Circuit of the Americas, and then Portland on back-to-back weekends for this championship. So this is kind of a momentum time right now for guys from Turn 3, like D'Orlando, like St. Jean, like Brown. This is where you can pick up that momentum and try to roll it all the way through to Toronto. in the absence of an issue with D'Orlando and Christian Weir on the front row where they got together coming to the green, coming through 14 in the second race at Road America, Liram Zendelli picked up the flag for TJ Speed Motorsports. So if there's anybody that needed a win to get the open the floodgates, to get the monkey off his back, it was Zendelli. F3, F2 experience for that German driver who runs under the Armenian flag. He needed that victory, and we'll see whether or not that plays into him being strong here. We know that qualifying is crucial. Right now, Zendelli needs some more speed. He currently down in the 8th spot, but a long time to go, still under 9 minutes.
And he did not run at IRP at the Oval, but is coming off a win in round number 2 at Road America. So his season coming on strong here as he's getting more and more comfortable with the car.
Yeah, and even with not getting the points at that race, he still sits 9th in points. So it's for him to win the championship would be a long shot because he's significantly now behind Miles Rowe, about 93 points back, not quite 100, 93 points back. So he'd have to have a little minor miracle, and he'd have to go on a streak of winning a bunch of races. But hey, listen, if Miles Rowe can do 3 in a row to start the season, Zendelli could do 3 in a row to get things closer. We've seen that happen before.
Sure.
Mid-Ohio is such a tough racetrack. We go back and look at Christian Rasmussen's championship year in USF2000, where he had this massive lead, 70-something points coming into Indianapolis, and then struggled at Indy, and then came here, and I believe that was 2020, the COVID year. We came here after that, and here he's trying to get this bounce back, qualifies on pole, and then first lap drives off in the carousel.
Right.
I believe it went from 70-something points down to just 3 points between he and Reese Gold. So, listen, you can have a huge lead, but it doesn't take much to go. Just as you can go on a winning streak, you can go on a streak of bad luck as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Michael D'Orlando has gone a little quicker. He's now about 6/10 clear of Kiko Porto, the new second-place runner, as he supplants the De Alba, now Sundar Muthi, who was off in the gravels up to third quick.
So remember, he was 10th. Then because he brought the red flag out, he lost his fastest lap, went all the way back to 20th again. Luckily for him, even though he brought out the red flag long enough for him to get the new tires on, they get the car cleaned up, he was able to go at one point back up into the top 5, but now he's back down to 15th. We're going to see drivers just cycle through as these tires get warmer and warmer. Right there, Matt Clark being chased down by Lindsey Brewer. Clark, the Canadian. Lindsey Brewer, the only female that we have in the USF Pro Championships here for 2023. She's getting quicker and quicker. She had a partial season last year, full program this year. I was commenting to Lindsey yesterday that you can see that she's been in the gym. She has bulked up. She's been getting stronger and stronger. That's one of the things we tell every driver when they come in. Whether you're coming into juniors or 2000, I always ask them, are you hitting the gym?
Yep.
They go, oh, yeah, I'm in it 3 times a week. Not enough. What?
Exactly.
Every day. Like, literally every time you step up, these cars are harder and harder to drive. And every driver comes in thinking that I'm strong enough until they run the street circuit, and they're, like, absolutely completely spent by the end of the day.
Exactly.
The gym time these drivers have to invest is massive. And, again, that's all about the strength, not just the mental strength, the physical strength. You have to be ready to drive these kind of cars.
And this is a very physical track. It's a track that a lot of drivers say, is one of the most physical that they come to because there's no time to rest.
That's
you're working the car constantly. And
John, I think the blind corners and some of the off-camber corners.
Yep.
There are corners that you can roll through, and I've got it set. Like you coming through the keyhole, it'll go around at any time, right?
Absolutely.
You have the mental focus as well is so key.
Yeah. The keyhole's downhill, off camber. I mean, it's just absolutely terrible, and it's the most important turn on the racetrack because it leads onto the long straight.
And then with those two things, off camber, downhill, it's all about when you start to roll back on the power. We talked to a couple guys who have never been here before, and they said, I got to wait.
Yeah.
Because I'm trying to get back to – because I know that if I start the throttle earlier, I'm going to get – but the minute you start the throttle earlier downhill, it just understeers off the racetrack.
Exactly right.
Exactly.
Yeah, you're off driver's left. So.
It's tough. D'Orlando now 0.2 of a second over Kiko Porto. Bajoy Garg, Reese Ushijima for J. Howard Driver Development. Salvador de Alba 5th. Grand Force, Rowe, Denmark, Zendelli, and Sundar Murthy, your current top 10. Still 5 minutes remaining in the session, so a long time to go. Fuel load burning off. Tires, these Coopers are going to be consistent to the end, so wait for some heroics at the end of this session.
Does Sundar Murthy lose his two best laps?
No, just the fastest lap.
Just
And
the
they've already set that up. I watched when they came in here. He was 10th. They removed that lap already. He went down to 20th. So wherever Sooner Murthy is on the racetrack is indeed his spot right now. Remember, this isn't like USF2000 where the first fast lap is race 1 and the second fastest lap is race 2. We have separate qualifying sessions this particular weekend for USF Pro 2000. So again, they will be back out on the racetrack, I believe, where they 105 this afternoon, qualifying 2. Yeah, 105, they'll be back on the racetrack, and then, of course, we're looking forward to a 4:15 run for USF 2000. The front end of their triple header here at Mid-Ohio. That's what it makes Mid-Ohio even more important. It's not a double header. There's 3 opportunities, 99 points, John, on offer for the weekend.
Yep. Kiko Porto up to second and only half a tenth off of Michael D'Orlando at this stage. As these times beginning to make some sense.
How about Joel Granforce?
Yeah.
So less than 800 separate the top 3. Joel Granforce, the Swede, for exclusive, goes to third. D-Force's Porto in P2, and Turn 3 Motorsports Michael D'Orlando, who loves this racetrack, finds himself P1 right now. Another opportunity for him to come back after a great win at Road America, then the difficulty of the contact between he and Weir coming to the green. Actually, not even coming to the green, coming through the final corner that put both those drivers in pit lane before we even went green.
Yeah, exactly right.
De Alba moving up as well, so Exclusive Autosport has Granforce in third, De Alba in fourth. Let's see what Sooner Murthy can do in 11th right now. He'll look to put down another lap. He's a couple behind. Only 9 laps in the books for him. Again, alternate timeline. Again, coming through Thunder Valley, not the one here at start-finish, so they're able to get that lap in the books. If they want to pit, they can do that. Granforce checks up. So Granforce, I think, is looking maybe to either cool the tires or give himself some room because he was slow. Kind of gave some room coming out of the final corner here. So watch for Granforce maybe for one more push. 2.5 minutes remaining. Ushijima comes across the line. He's 6th. Into pit lane comes D'Orlando. So that's going to be it for D'Orlando. So, hey, you know what? I laid down a pretty good time. I challenge everybody to come back after me. I'm going to save my tires a little bit here. D'Orlando in pit lane in the D-Force, or the Turn 3 Motorsport machine. D-Force has the other car. They have Matt Clark, the other livery, the scholarship car. So D'Orlando brings that machine in, the USF Pro Championship scholarship colors. You'll see that later today from Louis Foster in the Indy Next category. There he is right there. The number 1, having won the championship last year, Michael D'Orlando from Hartsdale, New York. Coming here currently sitting in the 11th spot in points, a win in race number 1, and then had that issue and finished 20th in race number 2 at Road America. Does anybody have anything for him? Oh, that's Lindsey Brewer off of the outside of turn 9. That's a tough place, John. That looks like they maybe added a little bit extra on the outside there, but man, I wouldn't be using it.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, that's an easy place to lose it because the car's light, the rear end especially. As is that Lindsey going off again?
No, I think that might be the Neotech driver of Montiero.
Yeah, just now coming into the pit lane.
That's Nicholas Montiero, currently 18th, pushing hard, coming up into the Thunder Valley, and that's another blind corner.
Yep.
People don't realize it. When you come up into Thunder Valley, you're literally using one of the trees or something as a marker because you're coming over the hill totally blind and having to set that corner.
To the second fastest turn on the racetrack.
Very true. It is such a tough corner.
Yeah, no kidding.
Number of drivers coming in. Michael D'Orlando holding the spot still by 500ths over Porto. We're still running here, though, with 42 seconds. Let's see if we see anybody else jump up the order. Chase Denmark, we believe, into pit lane as well. Montiero into pit lane. I think he's going to go back out. Not sure why he would with only 30 seconds remaining. He may just be taking it back to pit lane. We'll watch him kind of cruise up here. No, he's going to go back out on track. A number of racers still on track. Joe Granforce being one. There's Jack William Miller as well. The number 90 of Sooner Murthy's into pit lane. 12th will be the best for him right now. 6/10 back. How about less than 9/10 of a second separating the top 17? And to be honest, almost the entire field to 1 second. 2 seconds covering the entire field.
Yeah, exactly right.
Missing's into pit lane as well. Jordan Missing, 17th. He will not be happy with that. Jonathan Brown coming into pit lane in the number 2 for Turn 3 Motorsport. He's 13th. D'Orlando still on top.
Checkers are out.
Yeah, and I believe drivers just sneaking through. I want to say it might have been Joel Granforce and Jack William Miller. Granforce in the 3rd spot right now. Miller 11th. Lindsey Brewer gets in as well.
Kiko Porto takes the checkers, not able to improve, so he'll start no better than 2nd.
500ths of a second separating first and second. 800ths, 1, 2, 3. That is amazing. Tight qualifying. It's Pizzi across the line. You think he may have blown the checker there for Pizzi. That would not be good. I think we'd seen the checker flag already, so Pizzi, who is in 13th, could be in danger of losing his fast lap. Here comes the number 12 of Porto. We know that he was not able to do it. D'Orlando, I don't think goes any quicker either.
Same for D'Alba. Yeah. He just sees the checkers.
D'Orlando was already in pit lane. Let me correct myself there. Looking for the final drivers to come across the line. So I think Lindsey Brewer could be the final driver on the racetrack coming up through. Joel Granforce, does he have anything? Him and Jack William Miller. Granforce does not go quicker. So I think it's going to be indeed. Oh, Zendelli gets one spot. He'll go to 10th in the final circuit.
Miller jumps into the top 10.
Indeed he does. He goes to 9th, yeah. So a little bit of movement there at the end for Jack William Miller and Liram Zendelli. But indeed, it is Michael D'Orlando. We talk about the fact he knows this racetrack, and indeed he does. He goes P1 by 500ths. Michael D'Orlando on the pole alongside Kiko Porto. If that is not a perfect sales pitch for what we do in the USF Pro Championship, that is the last two USF2000 champions on the pole on the front row in USF Pro Championships. Kiko Porto back in 21 and D'Orlando in 2022. Both those drivers, USF2000 champions. Exclusive Autosport locking out row number 2 with Joel Granforth and Salvador de Alba. Bajoy Garg and Reese Ushijima will be row number 3. Miles Rowe and Jace Denmark and all Pabst Racing row number 4. And Jack William Miller and Liram Zendelli rounding out the top 10. St. Jean in 11th. Sundar Murthy, Pizzi, Brown, and Weir back to 15th. Jackson Lee, Jordan Missig, Ricardo Scotto, Nick Montiero, and Lindsey Brewer rounding out the field. 2 seconds capping the entire field here in USF Pro 2000.
Yeah, absolutely. Great qualifying session, and they're going to be back very, very quickly for their second qualifying session just after the noon hour at 1:05 this afternoon.
An opportunity to get some debrief again, right?
Yep,
we just rolled out here. One of the things is there'll be a lot more action on the racetrack. Track always changes. Temperature going up a little bit. So we'll see who stands up once again for the qualifying for race number 2. But we know this for sure. It'll be Michael D'Orlando and Kiko Porto on the pole position. Or rather, on the front row for race number 1 tomorrow morning. Again, great qualifying effort for Michael D'Orlando.
So we'll take just a brief break, catch our breath, change our grid sheets over to USF2000, as they will be in about 15 minutes' time for their one and only qualifying session to set the grid for their first race of the weekend coming up this afternoon at 4:15.
So if you're watching here on USF Pro Championships TV, don't go anywhere. About 15 minutes, we'll be back again, USF2000, to set the grid right now for all 3 of their races. A little bit different approach, as we said. Make sure to tune in for that on all our channels.
We're like any normal family. We just get shorter wait times because we buy and book online at discounttire.com.
So easy.
Which gives us more time for things like...
Come on, Mom.
Ready? And it's all thanks to Kyle. Thank you. Get 30% shorter average wait time when you buy and book online at discounttire.com.
Let's get you taken care of.
It's your Uncle Cooper. Sure, once in a blue moon, you might need your tires for hauling a horse in a hailstorm. But most days, you're gonna need your tires for tougher things, like teaching your sister's kid how to parallel park. Thankfully, these Cooper Enduro Maxes aren't just tough, they're everyday tough. Okay, there's a lot of improvement. Go with the Coopers. Cooper!
We're like any normal family. We just get shorter wait times because we buy and book online at discounttire.com,
So easy.
which gives us more time for things like
Come on, Mom.
It's ready.
wow. Are you sure it's ready?
Oh, it's ready.
And it's all thanks to Kyle. Thank you. Get 30% shorter average wait time when you buy and book online at discounttire.com.
Let's get you taken care of.
It's your Uncle Cooper. Your SUV is a multi-purpose tool, like a corkscrew fish scaler. And that means your tires should be multi-purpose too. Like these Cooper rugged Treks. They're tough, but also run smooth as butter. And with dual sidewalls, it's like having a multi-tool that can look like a completely different multi-tool. Don't take that idea, by the way. I'm gonna patent it. Go with the Coopers. Cooper!
This is the USF Pro Championships, the world's greatest motorsports ladder program with a proven formula, where top junior drivers from around the world come to compete across the best tracks in North America, where the opportunity to climb to the top is guaranteed, promoting every champion to the next stage, where champions are made and legends established. 52 races, over 50 up-and-coming drivers, and 3 scholarships valued at over $1.3 million. The USF Pro Championships, tomorrow's champions, forged today.
qualifying for USF 2000 as these drivers coming out to set the grid for their 3 races this weekend. First of which is coming up this afternoon at about 4:10. Joining me in the booth once again, the voice of the series, Rob Howden. Hey, Rob.
Thank you, John. And indeed, provisionally setting, right, for the 3 races, a triple header for USF 2000 here in the Discount Tire Grand Prix of Mid-Ohio. The fast lap for sure is race number 1. The second fastest lap potentially could be used for qualifying for race 2 and or race 3. Now, when the drivers then, of course, go to race 1, if they go quicker in the race than they did qualify, they can use that lap instead. So we can't quite say that we've locked down the grids for races 2 and 3. Those drivers could potentially go quicker, but again, looking at the forecast for tomorrow, you never know. Could get some of the wet stuff. We'll see. This very likely will be a crucial opportunity for these drivers. Again, likely will set the grid for all 3, but not for sure. Definitely race number 1, which we'll have later on this afternoon. 4:15, I believe, scheduled start time there. We'll get things rolling for the first of 3 races. But again, rolling out here with a good grid of 23 drivers in this middle rung of the USF Pro Championships presented by Cooper Tires. Australian Lockie Hughes comes in with the point lead, but only 3 points ahead of his arch rival from Pabst Racing, Simon Sykes, the veteran driver, getting a shot to run with his top-tier team. Sykes has had a good season so far, 3 wins. Hughes, 4 wins. Nikita Johnson right behind them, the 15-year-old, 40 points back. He is one of the rookies in the series for VRD Racing. Was a winner early in the season at St. Petersburg. Has locked in a bunch of podium finishes after that. I want to say, I think 6 or 7 podiums on the season so far for Nikita. Very comfortable for the young driver. Again, only 15 years old. You say, hey, you can come back for another year of USF 2000, but I wouldn't be surprised to me if they decide to move him up into the Pro 2000 category next year. The amount of growth we've seen out of this kid already. Ran USF Juniors last year, was a race winner there, John. Comes in this year and out of the gate is a race winner. Super calm, super focused, and there was that youthful aggression that he had where you maybe mistimed a couple of moves or was super aggressive. He's toned that down where he is just very quick, very focused, very consistent. That's exactly what I was hoping for out of Nikita Johnson. Definitely a driver to watch out for in the future.
As we look at the practice times from earlier this morning, Simon Sykes for Pabst Racing was quickest at a 22.2. Evagoras Papasavas for J. Howard Driver Development was second quick. Lockie Hughes, his teammate on the J. Howard team, and the points leader was third fastest. Max Garcia and Matt Clark were in the number 1 plate, rounded out the top 5.
Yeah, just a little further back in 8th position to a storyline we're going to have throughout the week. And Ohio driver Thomas Schrag, who has done a lot of racing in the F1600 Championship Series program. He was part of Jeremy Shaw's Team USA scholarship, following in the footsteps of absolutely star-studded group. And there he is right now. Trouble for the number 90 of Schrag. Look at the sticker tires are still on the car, and he is out of that car. There is some kind of an issue with the machine. Oh, man. I remember I told you how crucial this was going to be. He is already out of the car. So there goes the crew from Elite Engines going to have a look at that. Some kind of a mechanical right now here for Exclusive Autosport and Thomas Schrag.
I saw him with a whole package of wipes out there, so I have a feeling that there may be a fluid leak of some kind on that car.
I wonder if it was the fire bottle went off or fire or something as well potentially right now. There's the shot right there. That looks to me like the fire bottle might have went off. They're going to work on that right now. And again, obviously there's Thomas right there to the right wearing his Team USA scholarship suit. Unbelievable turn of events for Thomas, who was top 5 throughout the day in testing yesterday, 8th this morning. There's a driver's gone off in the gravel there on the outside coming up through Thunder Valley. Driver's gone off. This thing's going to go red pretty quickly. I believe that driver well off. Not quite sure who that is from here, but coming up into Thunder Valley, the blind corner that John and I talked about during the USF Pro 2000 qualifying session. Doesn't take much to go off over there. Not quite sure who that may be.
Can't see the number. Just the top of the roll loop, unfortunately.
Number 11, potentially, Brady Golan.
Could be.
Could be Brady Golan, the USF Juniors driver from D-Force Racing. The Texan could be off in that part of the corner. We're actually here next weekend for USF Juniors, and that's why we've got drivers like Carson Eder, Brady Golan, Max Taylor, and Ethan Ho here this weekend trying to get some extra seat time, potentially looking at what they'll do next year. But indeed, red flag has come out. The AMR safety crew already rolling across the track to get him under control, so they'll have to pull him out of the gravel. I don't know whether or not that's going to change anything for Thomas Schrag. He still sits on the tugger. The team is going to work on that thing to see if they can't get him back rolling again. Again, having a look whether Thomas Schrag will get back into the car. I don't know. Thomas is actually going and grabbing some paper towels himself to try to clean this thing up. Not sure what happened there as of yet, but Thomas Schrag, the driver we hope for. There's the shot there. We're now down with them on pit lane. Thomas going to work on the car himself. It doesn't seem like there's any sense of urgency to try to get him back in the car, so I'm not quite sure what it is right now to the point for Thomas. I wonder whether or not potentially you're not allowed to go back out, if it indeed was the extinguisher. I don't know. That's a rule I don't know about. That potentially, if you've already if you've already extinguished that and used it, you can't go back out if the fire bottle's empty. So, again, driver off, as we said. They're going to pull Brady Golan back out of the gravel. I don't think it'll be much to get him rolling back again and fired up once he gets out of the gravel trap. But, John, as you know, the gravel traps here at this racetrack are here for a reason. They're deep, and if you're in them, you're not getting out.
Exactly right. Yeah, especially with these cars that are so low to the ground and the wings dig into the gravel if they try to tow them out. So that's an issue. But they've already got the car back on the racing surface, so looks like he's going to be able to come in under his own power. They're not going to have to flat tow him into the
And again, like we said, that window of time, right? Half an hour window of time, 20 minutes of 20 minutes of max, not guaranteed. 20 minutes of max. Green flag running. We've got 5 minutes of green flag still in, about 15 minutes still to go. Only 2 laps were able to go in the book. Simon Sykes on top for Pabst Racing. 2 laps in, 1:22.056, 4/10 quicker than Papa Savas. Clark third, Hughes fourth, Garcia in the fast 5 here to get things underway. These times are going to fall the minute we go racing. There's Chase Gardner in the number 95 machine. He's currently in the 7th place right behind Jacob Douglas. Nikita Johnson, Sam Corey, and Logan Adams round out your very early top 10. Still 15 minutes to go. Time is going to fall pretty aggressively. We'll expect to see over a second as Golan in the number 11 rolling in here. That was cold tires. Young driver coming up from juniors.
First weekend of racing.
First qualifying session, pushing hard.
Yep.
And coming, as you mentioned, one of the faster parts of this racetrack, coming up Thunder Valley over that blind corner.
Yep.
And if you just miss it a little bit, you've lost your rear end. You try to get the thing. You try to get more wheel in it, and it's just going to break loose on you, right?
Yep, exactly right.
So
exactly right.
He's not the first guy to go off like that.
Oh no,
and will not be the last either.
I have done it myself.
Yeah.
I'll put my hand in the air. So
I haven't because I've been so ginger coming through there. Everything I've driven, I've always been like, "Don't go off, Rob. Don't go off."
Yeah, exactly right. But we're back green once again, as we mentioned. Brady Golan, one of 4 drivers here, making their debut start as. They're cleaning the gravel out of the radiator inlets on Brady's car.
And that's something we see a lot, of course, in our program, right? We have essentially a 3-tier ladder system, and then we lead into the Indy Next category. Wouldn't be surprised to see 1 or 2 drivers when we're done our season in the USF Pro 2000 potentially make a start in the Indy Next series because they have a couple more races off. I think they go to Laguna the weekend after we're at Portland, so there's opportunities for them to potentially run the car. But we do see a lot of drivers from the USF Juniors program moving up at the end of the season to run USF 2000, USF 2000 to USF Pro 2000. I'm sure we'll see that potentially happen as well. So, again, everybody looking forward. What's the next step? Where do I need to be next year? And this is a really good opportunity. And pair that, John, with the fact that they're looking at USF 2000 for 2024, also with juniors coming here next weekend, a really good opportunity to get some seat time here in a car that is quicker. So when you come here next weekend, you're actually going to be a bit slower, and you've already gotten used to the speed. One driver into pit lane, as you see there, one of the VRD cars. No, actually Simon Sykes. That's the Mockett-sponsored number 22 of Simon Sykes into pit lane. I wonder if he's maybe happy with the car. Maybe they can put fresh rubber on now because essentially you only put 2 laps in, right? So he's scuffed those tires. That's actually a pretty solid call for Augie Pabst and Tonys Casimets from Pabst Racing. Bring him in right now. Get him back out with lots of time to lay down the fast lap you need. And this set of tires, perfectly scuffed for one of the 3 races here this weekend.
And Casimets has got a few laps around this track in single-seaters, so he knows what the right strategy is for sure.
Yeah, indeed. Tonys Casimets has a lot of experience. For those of you who may not know, Tonys been around a long time, got himself all the way up to the Champ Car Series, did some racing there, but a very well-known and highly accomplished SCCA racer with runoffs wins and
won Formula Atlantic right here
there
at
you go.
Ohio. Yeah.
It's good to have John on board here.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. I remember it. I remember it vividly, and Tonys will shoot me for doing this, but he was in tears on the podium when he won his Atlantic Championship. It meant so much to him, and that was just that stuck in my mind ever since. Yeah, he's a great guy.
He is. Tonice again. The great thing about Tonice is now he's obviously had his career so dedicated now to the junior Formula list. Yeah. So many drivers get a chance now to get a chance to work with him. Pabst Racing bringing another one of their cars in here to pit lane. The 24 of Max Garcia, just 14 years of age, in the Advanced Auto Parts Pabst Racing machine number 24. He's into pit lane. Sykes is back out. I expect to see a couple more drivers come in to try to get off these Coopers and get some fresh rubber out. Sykes still on top with a 122 flat. 122.056, as John had mentioned before. 122.2 was the fast time. So they've still got quick times here. I would bet, though, we're going to see something in the high 21s. The track record, as we mentioned before, a 120.1. That was October of 2021. Much different conditions, a cooler day. Engines absolutely love it. We had good grip on the day. So when you have the grip and the engines love the cool temperature, you're going to lay down good laps. That was Michael D'Orlando, who already has a pole in USF Pro. So, again, we'll see whether he can do it again this afternoon and go back-to-back pole positions. Third pole on the year for Michael D'Orlando as he continues to try to scrap his way back into contention for the title. In this championship, it's really Sykes versus Hughes right now. Sykes P1, Hughes in fourth. This battle, I believe, is going to be waged for the final race at Portland. A couple drivers testing the extra little bit of concrete on the outside of the rumbles down there coming out of turn number 9. Those of you, John, of course, you've been here for many years. Remember when the wall was a lot closer. Oh, yeah. Significantly closer coming out of turn number 9. So a lot more forgiving these days. Now, more drivers in Nikita Johnson, Douglas, and Dzelski. Jacob Douglas and Danny Dzelski also into pit lane. Here comes the 14 as well of Sam Corey. So VRD has their drivers coming in as well. Let's have a look at things now. Chase Gardner's moved his way up into 6th. I believe Gardner's already in and out for pits for tires. Thomas Schrag is got the helmet off, so Schrag will not be back out. Tough one for Thomas. No time at all, but I'll tell you this right now, in all 3 of those races, and remember, he will 100% set a fast time in race number 1. Right. That's going to help him for race number 2. So he's very likely not going to be, unless, of course, we get the wet stuff tomorrow. Yep. He may not be at the tail of the field, but I will tell you this, race number 1 this afternoon, keep an eye on that black and red exclusive Autosport number 90. He will be putting on a show because he knows he has top 5 speed. I cannot wait to see what Thomas Schrag's going to be able to do. Sykes, Clark, George Garciarce, Evagores Papasavas, and Lockie Hughes, your current top 5. 6th is Gardner, 7th is Ho, 8th Douglas, 9th Cox, 10th Corey. So again, Elliot Cox now up into the 9th spot in the Sarah Fisher Hartman Racing Development Drive Planning number 67. More drivers in the pit lane. Golan, as well as the number 8, Lockie Hughes. So there's rubber changing coming in. 9 minutes remaining in the session. Hughes will come in. His team will wait for him all the way to the front end of the grid as the point leader right now. 33 of Max Taylor coming in as well. Here comes the number 9 as well as of Logan Adams in the Comet Kart Sales. Jay Howard Driver Development Machine. Ethan Ho in here as well. Shout out to Ethan Ho, P3. This is a driver who's one of the front runners in the USF Junior Series. And that's the same car that he runs. So the cool thing about it is the USF Juniors car and the USF2000 car are very similar. To convert the car over, essentially if you have a USF2000 car, to convert it to a Juniors car, different wheels. We run the OZ wheel, different brake package, different dampers, different uprights, a restrictor in the engine, and a bit of a different mapping. So essentially the same car, but just with some more affordable components to bring the price level down. The brakes obviously make it a little slower as well, longer braking run. So they converted this car over and have him back here again. So and they'll do it. That's what they'll do obviously this week. He'll run this. They'll convert it back to a juniors. He'll be on track here this coming next weekend, rather, here for the NASCAR Truck Series weekend.
Sykes has gone a little quicker, and you're right. He's into the 21s, 121.9 for Simon Sykes. Matt Clark about a 10th and a half back in the 2nd spot. Papasavas is 3rd quick. He's another half a 10th back, just over 2/10 off the provisional pole. Ethan Ho getting a fresh set of Coopers, and he's about to come back out on track. As we've got how much? 7.5 minutes remaining.
Yeah, that's enough. Yeah, it's more than enough to get out, get those tires to the temp they need to be. Remember, the more they run, the lighter the car gets. We're burning off the fuel. So Ethan Ho getting ready to go back out with sticker Coopers. Sykes, Clark, Papasavas, Gardner, and Ho. Chase Gardner now up to 4th in the number 95. Ho in 5th. Garciarce in 6th. Hughes, Douglas, Cox, and Corey. Just on the outside of the top 10 right now, Danny Nizelski runs 11th. 12th is Max Garcia. 13th, Nikita Johnson. 14th is Zach Ping. 15th is Maury. Al Maury Jr. from the 4th, actually. Al Maury the 4th from Indianapolis. And the number 7 for Jay Howard, rounding out the top 15. 23 drivers in the field. 22 have taken times. Thomas Schrag, as we know, the Ohio driver for Exclusive Auto Support, some kind of an issue there. It looks like, I don't know whether it was a fire or whether, I don't know whether it was a fire or just the fuel, the fire extinguisher, the fire suppression system going off in the tail of the car. You know that's something that can happen with an electrical short, whatever it may be.
Sure.
Tough one for, like, you think about that. That's not something you would ever put on the bingo card, right, when you're trying to come in here for your first qualifying effort.
Yep. Sykes goes even quicker, a 21.6. So he's got about 4/10 on the field right now, as Garcia up to second quick in the 24 car.
Max Clark getting off the throttle there. That's the driver who checked up coming out of 5. Ethan Ho's going to come through behind him. Remember, Ethan's on fresh rubber, so he won't need to push too hard. You wonder what you do if you're Thomas Schrag's team, right? So here's the thing. No time.
Right.
So he's going to have essentially fresh rubber going out. So he'll have brand new tires. See what you can do for the first half of the race. Do you pit him, put fresh rubber on, and try to get a really fast qualifying lap to potentially put him up front for race number 2, right?
Yeah.
It's all about experience here for him right now. It's not like he needs to win races to keep his career going. He's doing whatever he can to get some experience here. He does want to make an impact.
Sure.
So, you wonder whether or not some strategy like that will come out. I'm not in big favor of that. I don't like when guys come in and do that. I'd rather see guys just run. But it's happened before where guys have had issues and have come in, kind of sacrificed one race to get a fast lap to potentially try to get you further up the grid. And we know Thomas should be further up the grid.
Max Garcia coming off a podium at Road America, second quick still, as Sykes goes even faster, a 21.659.
Wow, 0.3 faster. He
Yeah,
is rolling it right now. Again, listen, so we talked about Michael D'Orlando being good here. And he's won here before a couple of times, actually, in USF2000 competition. Simon Sykes has been really good at this racetrack as well.
Yep.
He was on the podium here last year, running with Legacy Autosport. This was a track where he rolled into and was able to – he went on a run last year, a bunch of podium finishes, has never had a full season. And has obviously never had a full season with a front-running, championship-winning team like Pabst Racing. So this is a great opportunity for Simon Sykes, the driver out of Georgia, a 121.653. Max Garcia's teammate now up to second, so they have dialed in a pretty good car there. Sykes still P1, but Clark now jumping up into second. Matt Clark for D-Force Racing. This kid is the next Canadian star. There is no doubt about it. Following in the footsteps of a James Hinchcliffe and a number of drivers like a Parker Thompson. But a lot of people, even though he's, James Hinchcliffe is kind of the mentor for Matt Clark, you look at Mac with those glasses and his focus on, he's told me before, I'm either going to be a race car driver or an IndyCar driver or an IndyCar race engineer. That's his concept, right?
Yep.
But people look at Matt Clark and they immediately think of Greg Moore.
Yeah.
That's the connection people make with Greg. The similar features, they kind of look alike a little bit.
Yep.
Both fantastic young men. And of course, we watched Greg become a star before his fateful demise at Fontana. But again, a legendary Canadian, and you never know. Maybe Matt Clark's the next in the lineage.
Yeah, could well be. Lockie Hughes was languishing outside the top 5, and now he's up to third quick as the points leader clicks off a 21.9. He's about 2.5 tenths off of Simon Sykes, and he's about half a tenth off of Matt Clark in second.
Sometimes, John, I think they just want to keep us guessing. They want to keep us making sure we're on our games, right? They're kind of, like you said, languishing outside the top 5. They're hanging back there in 8th.
Sure.
Getting that gap, and all of a sudden they drop the big lap down. And not surprising that Lockie Hughes would get one done. Half a second separating your top, 8 drivers now down to Danny Nizelski. Make it George Garciarce. 9 now within a half a second. But really just less than a tenth separating first and second, Simon Sykes and Matt Clark. These two have already had a little bit of a run-in on the year. Sykes was running second. Clark was leading at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway on the final lap. Of course, Clark down the inside, Sykes running second. Tried to go around the outside and won. Of course, Clark's on the outside. He's going to push wide on the exit to get to the exit point. They make contact. They go off. Sam Corey from P3 cruises through to get a win at the Brickyard. So, again, Sykes probably could have backed out of that one and have a point lead right now, and that's something I think he thought about. We'll see how it plays out when they get back together. They may be starting on the front row for race number 1 later today.
Sykes, Clark, Hughes, and Johnson, your top 4.
And that's another guy that moved up, John. He was outside the top 10.
Yeah.
Nikita Johnson.
And he's already got 2 poles this season, so this could be number 3 for him.
Just a consistent year for Johnson, as I said. 6 podium finishes, 1 win at the Grand Prix of St. Petersburg. The consistency's been there. The speed has been there. And again, looking to potentially get himself another start somewhere in the front 2 or 3 rows. It's Sykes and Clark, 1-2. Hughes and Johnson, 3-4. Garcia and Al Mori moving his way up to 6. Wow.
Look at Ethan Ho.
Boom to second. Ethan Ho with a minute and a half to go. The DC Autosport driver out of Los Angeles, California. Ethan Ho works his way up into second. Sykes, Ho, Clark, Hughes, and Johnson, the Fast 5. Like we said, Cooper Tires just getting into that really optimal window right now. Car's starting to get a bit light. The drivers have done the best they could to separate themselves. They need open racetrack. And then, again, like I always say, they need to put down the lap, although there is a huge cloud like someone potentially went in and off. Yeah, somebody coming back on the racetrack, John, in turn number 1.
Yep.
Or the exit of.
Correct.
We'll be able to see that car. If we keep this camera shot, we'll be able to tell you potentially which car went off. And they're coming through here now. That's one of the J. Howard driver development cars. That might have been Al Mori. Could have been the number 7. Yeah, so it was the number 7. And not surprising, he just laid down like the P5 or P6 time.
Yep.
He's like, I got more, you know? And you can see that on the data. It tells you if you're up a little bit. Right. And that sometimes that's not good for the driver.
I'm going to try flat through turn 1.
That's it.
Yeah.
I can do it.
Yeah, and sometimes that doesn't work.
Sykes still on top. In fact, first, second, and third separated by less than 1/10 of a second. Sykes, Ho, and Clark. 20 seconds remain. Again, they think about where the drivers are right now. The ones coming through here probably aren't going to be able to get to the timing stripe before. This could be the final lap for a majority of the drivers on the racetrack. Because remember, the timing line, alternate timing line down in Thunder Valley. Time ticking away. 5, 4, 3, 2. Oh, just sneaking by. A couple of drivers just sneaking past. Garcia, Maury, Corey, Douglas, 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th, all just getting through. I think Maury heading to pit lane.
Look at Papasavas goes to the top on his final lap.
Evagoras Papasavas, yeah, 2/10 over Sykes.
Sykes is on a hot lap, though.
This will be Sykes' opportunity, but Papasavas on top. He comes in currently 5th in points. A win would be big. He has not yet scored the victory for Evagoras Papasavas. Again, another Ohio driver. Sykes is currently 2nd. He's already in the pit lane, so Sykes is in, so he will not get the pole on that bonus point. So the J. Howard driver development pilot, Papasavas, actually helping his teammate, Lucky Hughes, stealing the bonus point away. A number of drivers still on the racetrack. Ho is still out there as well. Remember, he was P3 in the DC Autosport, number 68. I'm looking down right now, actually, at Don Connor from DC Autosport. He and the crew looking at live timing. They want to see what Ethan's going to be able to do. Can he pull one out? Because he's only 3/10 back. Can Ho go P1? We'll see as they come across here. Papasavas, Sykes, Ho does not do it. Clark now 4th. Hughes 5th. Clark does not go quicker either. Garcia and Corey, I think, still on the racetrack. So final lap heroics for Evagoras Papasavas right now. Garcia does not do it. Corey and Douglas, the only other drivers, they do not do it. Evagoras Papasavas, the local driver, the Ohio pilot, goes P1 by 2/10 of a second. That's a big magic lap.
Yeah.
Simon Sykes looked good, John, in the 22, but Papasavas putting it all together, right? Yet the drivers always talk about it. I was this fast, but my theoretical best,
right?
When they look at the data, that had to be close to the theoretical best for Evagoras to go as quick as he did.
Sykes has the best theoretical lap, the optimal lap of 21.2. But look at this, only about 7/100ths of a second between he and Papasavas.
Yeah, Papasavas quicker, pretty 2/10 quicker, actually quite a bit quicker, 3/10 quicker than Sykes in segment number 1 on the racetrack. So there, we had some segment times for you here. But Evagoras Papasavas, there it is right there, folks, 1:21.402 fast time, as he's just over 2/10 quicker than Simon Sykes. There's your front row. J. Howard driver development on the inside, Pabst Racing on the outside. Ethan Ho, the USF Juniors drivers, carrying the flag, P3, as he's alongside Clark. There's Evagoras right there in the number 6. He will be absolutely thrilled. Again, the driver out of Loveland, Ohio, finds himself starting on the pole position for race number 1 this afternoon. And remember, his second lap's probably pretty good too, and that could be pole for race number 2 and race number 3. Great job there for Papasaba, Sykes, Ho, third, Clark, fourth. Your point leader, Lockie Hughes, in fifth spot. He'll start alongside Nikita Johnson. Max Garcia and Al Morey, row number 4. And Sam Corey and Jacob Douglas on row number 5. Danny Dzelski in 11th. George Garciarce, 12th. Gardner and Adams, 13th and 14th. Ping, Taylor, Cox, Jameson, Scully, and Golan round out the top 20. Towns, Etter, 21 and 22. And poor Thomas Schrag with that issue on the car. He's going to start at the very tail of the field for race number 1. And he will be looking for a fast lap in race 1 that could potentially push him up higher in the grid for race number 2.
Exactly right.
And again, John, so essentially we are what? We're wrapped up for a bit here.
Well, you got qualifying 2 for USF Pro 2000. That's coming up at 1:05.
Hour and a half?
Yeah, hour and a half or so. In the meantime, we've got the Porsche Sprint Challenge out for their second practice session. That's coming up next at about 12:10. So we've got a little time here.
And then, of course, we'll cap off the day here, folks, with our first race of 5 that we have for you in the USF Pro Championships, the Discount Tire Grand Prix of Mid-Ohio. Race number 1 set to go at 4:15 this afternoon. If you're tuning in here on the USF Pro Championships app or YouTube channel, make sure you come back number 1 for USF Pro 2000 qualifying. And the race this afternoon, 4:15. Hope you tune in. Look forward to it, folks, on behalf of everybody from Anderson Promotions and the USF Pro Championships. My name is Rob Howden. Bye for now.